Good morning, here's Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is Monday, the 19th of February. It is a day where we will probably see a fairly quiet afternoon, since US will be closed today due to President's Day, so bank holiday in US, not much going on. So let's start with Seng that got rejected, rejected at 16,408. That was the previous spike up here above the upper falling trend line. It did close above there actually, and also below above the 16,270. But it is starting to fall back here or declining again. What is also interesting is that the RSI 60 threshold was not broken, so we are still in a negative sentiment. If it breaks back below the upper rising trend line here, well, then we could also see the Hang Seng sliding back lower. Key support at this low here, 15,456, that should be observed. US markets, let's talk about it just a little bit. As we have mentioned several times, really divergence on the RSI. Check out for the breakout of the RSI, either of the lower rising or the upper falling trend line. That could tell you a little bit about the direction here. 4,920 is the support to look out for. Could break the upper rising trend line there as a first warning sign that we have reached a peak, but it is a little bit up in the air. Looking at the weekly chart, we can do that very quickly. Looking at the weekly chart, also divergence here. This one is actually a little bit lower than this RSI value over there. So we are stalling a little bit, but we are still in an uptrend. So it's really at a knife's edge at the moment. Nasdaq 100 also really stretched. It didn't close the gap completely. Still a little bit of space between this body here and this body here, but it could do it when it opens tomorrow. What is interesting is that Nvidia will come out with earnings on Wednesday. I think it's after market, so that can really do some damage to the market or push it higher. So that's really interesting. Testing the lower rising trend line here. Really, well, actually, it is actually a little bit below at the moment, at 57. Also below the 60 threshold, so it is indicating we could break lower, but look out 17,478, that is the key level to look out for. On the European side, the EUROSTOXX 50 ticked a little bit higher Friday. So it's still an uptrend, but there's massive divergence. But it's still a warning sign. It's not a sell signal. It's just a warning sign that there's an imbalance in the market, that it is the trend could be close to be exhausting, but we have no top and reversal pattern in place just yet. So there is still a little bit of upside potential, but it looks quite fragile, to be honest. DAX formed this doji here Friday, quite interesting. If we get a negative day today, a fairly negative day where we move back below 17,000, it could be a little bit of a top and reversal pattern also forming, and we have the RSI also massive divergence here, as you can see. So it's not really the strongest uptrend. In general, I have expected this market to be fairly positive until end of February, early March, but let's see if it can actually hold on that long. Amsterdam index is still quite strong, open a little bit lower today, but ticking higher here. And there's no divergence on the RSI, so that market seems the strongest of them all at the moment. Primarily driven by ASML and ASM, and to some extent ADN. We have the Belgian market, can't really get its momentum to test the 37.42 resistance. We are in a positive sentiment, but there's no divergence on the RSI, so we should move higher in coming days, but it is really struggling. It's not really convincing, this uptrend. CAC 40 lower today after this spike up Friday, could also form a top and reversal pattern. And finally, the Swiss market got rejected at 11,334. It did spike above, but it couldn't really hold up Friday there, and probably have another go today. And we need the RSI to close back above 64 for further uptrend. Euro dollar seems range bound after bouncing from 107 up to around 108. So we could be stuck in this range here for the next few days, possibly this week, until we get a trigger that can move it out of this range. More or less the same picture on cable, 125.30 around that level. And to the upside, 127, but we have the 55 moving average, we had 21 moving average, kind of putting a litter over here. So I think we will be stuck in this range here with the bias undertone short to medium term, but a little bit longer term. You can see we have the 100 moving average coming up there. We have the 200 moving average right there giving some support. So we could be caught in that range on cable. Dollar yen. After breaking above, well, maybe we should have a test another time, another go at 149.75 this morning. I think we can remove this one. It's not really relevant. So this is the level to look out for. We could dip below again. I'm not too worried. We're still in an uptrend, but I think we could dip below before we maybe have another move higher. Euro yen also setting back 161.90 around that level there. There is some really struggling at the moment here also. Key level to look out for these peaks here around 161.90. Aussie yen 98.55. Moving towards that. That's the 2022 peak and also the peak here last year. So it tested a couple of times. I think we will see a test of that and then we will have a setback. Sterling yen. Not really much to say there either, hovering around the 189 level, can't really move past it. Aussie dollar testing minor resistance at 65.45 here this morning. It was very close to Friday. If it does move above 66.25, well then this shoulder pattern is busted, and I would say it's very close to being busted at the moment. It is at least it is a little bit of a jeopardy to be cancelled. But let's see. I would like to see a close above this 65.45 before I really call it off. On the dollar Swiss. A little bit below the 88.20, but there should be more upside potential. There's positive sentiment. There's no divergence. We should be able to move higher past the 89, but we just need a little bit of correction here. We have the 200 and 100 moving declining, so that is giving a little bit of downside pressure. The dollar index also setting back towards the 100 moving average, but we have the 200 coming up here. So again, also here we could see a little bit of a sideways range bound between 104.80 level and down to around 103.5. Gold has bounced off its 100 moving average here a couple of days ago, or last week, with a bit of a doji evening-like pattern. I think we could see a move up towards the 618 retracement at 2034.35, but we also have the cloud, we have the 55 moving average, so there will be some resistance there. We're still in a negative sentiment on the RSI, so I think we will see a pickup in the selling later. Silver actually closed above 23.32 last week, but there's some really strong resistance. We have the cloud resistance, we have the 55, and we had the 200 moving average also giving some resistance. So I wouldn't put too much weight on this break there. I really want to see it above 24 before I call it a bullish signal. And also the RSI is still in a negative sentiment. So really weighing heavy right there still on the silver. On the energy side, WTI very close to test the key resistance at 79.77, just testing these slightly falling trend lines I have drawn here. So slightly falling trend line and the peak here from January just above 79. We are in a positive sentiment. We should see a test of that. If it does break above, then we're looking at 82.5. Almost the same picture on Brent. It's still a little bit from its 84.75, but we are above the cloud. We are above 200 moving average. We are in positive sentiment. So it seems like we're building up trend, and especially if we break above 84.75. Finally, on the US 10-year treasuries, did test the 4.20 support here last week, and I think maybe we will be caught a little bit range bound between 420 and the 430, 435 level here, but there should be potential to 438, possibly up to the mid-range here, consolidation area here around 445-ish level here in coming weeks. If it does break back below 420, then we could see yields dropping back, but we are in an uptrend short term. All right, that's all today. Remember, US is closed. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a nice day.